Yes, it's Thursday. It's lunchtime. It's time for the therapy session. So you've got 80 seconds. Grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Yes, Dr. Silver Fox. Doctor today, because it is the therapy session. Welcome to the clinic. Gunner King, as usual. In the panel, how are we doing, sir? Mr. TikTok King himself.
Wouldn't go that far, but
thumbs
yeah,
up. We'll take the thumbs up.
Yeah.
And joining us again. It's the first time I've been on stream with him, actually. It's Cannon Chatters, G Talks Arsenal. How are we doing, sir?
You know what? I'm good, man. I'm good. It's been a bit up and down recently because I don't know if you know, but I had my third bout of COVID in the space of 1 year. But I'm all right, to be honest. Apart from a bit of a sore throat and losing my voice, I'm good. I just tested negative today, so whoop whoop. And also my internet went down yesterday and last night, but engineer's been out this morning and I'm all good. So yeah, I'm blessed, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Ask me again tonight, obviously, because we've got Wolves. But after last night, we got to mention it. After last night, I'm feeling quite happy. The fact that remember then when they were playing, they played three games in hand, and I said, "Oh, we're going to catch up with you." You're still below us, even if it is goal difference. Did you watch any of the game, G?
You know what? I didn't watch any of the game. I was keeping tabs. And I know a lot of Arsenal fans will sit there and say they don't really keep tabs on results in terms of like United and West Ham and Spurs, but I do. I would admittedly say I do, and I've done it for a long time. Any teams that are kind of in and around us in the league, I'll always keep tabs on the results. And I don't like to tweet too much. I don't like to react too much during the games or anything like that, just because you just don't know what's going to happen until the 90 minutes is up. And now I haven't really said much since last night. Obviously with United dropping points against Burnley and then Spurs obviously losing to Southampton, I haven't really said much because obviously we got a key game tonight. But yeah, I didn't watch the game, but hell yeah, man, I saw the result and I must say I'm pleased.
That's the problem, Steve. We're just trying to stay grounded because how many times have we seen it? Teams around us dropping points and we fail to capitalise on it. How often have we seen that?
100%.
We just hope that tonight we get it right. And if they do that right, I think we're turning the corner. King?
Yeah, man. Look, this is the thing, man. The first thing I do want to chime in on that, if I may, because the games in hand merchants in United and Spurs, I just find it hilarious, But they're trying to flip it on me because United fans are saying, "Oh, you're sixth," and I'm saying, "Yeah, but we've played a game less." But the difference, I just want to be clear on this, yeah. The United and Spurs fans talk definitively about games in hand already being won. Yeah, that's where you've got a problem. Yeah, but if you're saying, "Look, we played a game less," and you're not going one further to say definitively with chest that, as soon as we win our games in hand, we're going to be ahead of you. You'll never catch me doing that. Yeah. But United, it's a matter of perspective, really, isn't it? Because they are ahead of us by virtue of playing a game more. So pointing that out's fine. Yeah. But I'm not sitting here and saying with chest that we're going to beat Wolves because it's going to be a tough game. Yeah, and these are all going to be tough games that we've got coming. Every single one of the 17 games I think that we've got left, there's no givens. There's no givens in the league anymore. So I just find it hilarious. You know, they were the ones saying when we win, this is where we're going to be ahead of you, and all of this. I just shout out to the games and hand merchants. Yeah, and I just, to be clear, that's the difference. Yeah, between the two things. Yeah, talking about games being won before you've even played them isn't the same as saying we have the possibility of winning these games, but it's going to be hard. There's clearly a difference in the narratives there, yeah. So look, tonight I'm excited. You know, I think you saw me the other day on a show with Canners, with James, with Steph as well. I really do feel like we should have strengthened in this window. What's happened yesterday, what's happened with Man U the other day, quite frankly, isn't going to change that because we do have a long season. United missed 2 players due to COVID the other day when they played Burnley. You know, and our squad is thin. You now need 4 players to have COVID to have a game called off due to COVID. So that is slightly concerning. But look, if we're able to keep our players fit, and if we're able to get a run of games together going. For me, the only team that's really looking like they want it at the moment is West Ham. You know, like, because, you know, I think the full sense of security that United and Spurs fans have lived in, they've said, yeah, since our new managers have come in, we've put a run of results together. But it's been built on a house of cards because every one of those games, 90% of them, they put terrible performances in, poor performances in. You know, so when you see the performances that they've been putting in my head, that said it's only a matter of time before they falter here. And in their last couple of games, they've shown that to be true. Whereas, you know, we've gone to City and we've lost. Or, you know, City have come to us and we've lost. But the first 45 to 60 minutes, you've seen a performance. You know, we've lost against Liverpool, you know, in our last couple of games. But in the first leg, when we went down to 10 men, you saw a spirited performance in the way that we defended. And even in the game that we lost against them, you know, the first half, again, you saw a performance. These performances and the level of improvement and the ability to sustain those performances for 90 minutes, that's where Arsenal need to go. That's our next stage of progression. Being able to make 45 minutes against City, 90. Being able to make the 40 minutes against Liverpool, 90. Not getting the man sent off in the first leg and that costing us in who we have to pick in the second leg. So there's a lot to improve and learn from, but at least throughout the season, if you were to ask me, have our performances improved this season overall? Yeah, taking a stock of all of our games relative to last season, they have. But I just feel buying someone in January would have really kind of continued that momentum. I think the connection that this summer's signings have given the fans with the football club, and even to a degree, the manager and Edu, and dare I say it, the ownership, I just feel buying a player would have continued that momentum. Now we feel a bit jaded by the establishment at Arsenal again, you know, and that's the frustrating thing, you know. Every performance, if we lose or if we drop points, it's gonna come back to this decision that's made in January. Yep. That disheartens me a bit.
I agree. But I will say that I'm happy with the risk. I should have signed someone, but I'm happy that there'll be games than everybody else. And he obviously trusts these players. And obviously, you mentioned about the performances they did have, even in the defeat against City, the 0-0 at Liverpool. You know, he's got a lot of trust in these players, and I'd rather us sign a player that's going to make a difference instead of like sign a player just for the sake of signing the player, panic buying. I believe there was money there to use, but I like the way we're starting to get the players off the books, and that's where you got to start for me. We did well in the summer; they're doing well now. It's a risk. It is a big risk, but it's a risk that I'm prepared to take. And I'll probably moan about it and it'll come May, say we should have signed someone. But as things are at the moment, and I say, well, look, I've stuck with the risk, so I'm going to have to deal with it. You know what I mean? So Gums has dropped by into the Nick. So anything you want to add to that? You've been sat there in the background, sir. How are you?
How you doing? Hope everyone's well. Hope therapy's going good for everybody. I need a little top up. You get me? So I'm here live and direct. Yeah, kind of touching on what Gunnar King was saying about the top four race and Liverpool, United and Tottenham maybe getting lured into that false sense of security. And again, we've been there many a time where we're getting wins, but we're not playing well, and it only takes one team to step up against us, and all of a sudden we're back in the dumps. Whereas we've seen positives from this Arsenal team, I would say, since the first 3 games. Now, January was a horrible, horrible month for us, but I've mentally blocked that out now, and it's like a fresh start for me. So I think, again, I keep saying it, if you look back at the first month of the season, the first 3 games before the international break, we had a horrible 3 games. But since then, we've been in good form and been getting relatively good results. There's a couple of results I wasn't happy with, but that's going to happen. But on a whole, performances are a lot better. I watched the Burnley game against Arsenal and I watched Burnley against United. Now, agreed, we was at home and United were away. Both got a draw, but in terms of how we control games compared to United, it's night and day. Now, we don't always create a lot. And I'll be honest, we don't. But teams struggle to get chances against us. I watched Burnley have a lot of good chances against United.
We struggle to get the ball off us.
Yeah, and then I go into the Tottenham game yesterday against Southampton. Southampton are a good team, but never they could have been 4 or 5-1 up in the first half. They had about 3 or 4 one-on-one chances. And Tottenham played with 5 at the back and were just getting opened up. Southampton, Ralph Hasenhüttl said that was his best performance in, I think he's been there 3 years, and he claims that as his best performance. Now, it's only 3-2. It could have easily been 3-3. So Tottenham could have got away with a draw. But like Gunnar King was saying, performance means a lot as well. So they're not able to control those games. And you're relying on Harry Kane, Son and Lucas Moura to bail you out every time. And if the opposition defence is on their job, then they're not saying going to struggle, but it's harder. Do you know what I mean? You can't always just rely on individual brilliance. So I think as a squad, as a collective, we're in a better position. And again, like you look at West Ham, no superstars, but as a squad, they're gelling really well. Like they look hard to score against. They're scoring goals from all over the park as well at the moment. It's not just Antonio who's scoring at the moment, which is going to be a benefit for them. So, I think we can carry on a bit of form.
Talent as well, though, isn't he?
Yeah, Bowen's good. Yeah, they're going to go Declan Rice's levels, Bowen's, Antonio, but you're seeing Lanzini's popping up every now and again. Ben Rama's popping up. So it's not just heavily reliant on that one player or 2 players. Yeah. So they've got a few goals all over. Yeah. And again, I'm not sure how much Antonio's even scored this season. He hasn't been as prolific, but
he's been on a bit of a drought recently, I think.
Yeah, but because everyone else is chipping in a little bit, you're not really even questioning it. Yeah. And again, I think that's where we need
to get Lacazette not scoring. But the
Lacazette doesn't need to score if everyone else is doing their job around him. The same as Firmino. Firmino's not there to score 25, 30 goals a season. Liverpool are happy if he gets 7, as long as Salah and Mane are doing what they need to do as well. So his job is to almost bring those guys into play. So, again, it's
scored 10 as well.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, he scored 8 of them against Arsenal.
Yours just different levels, man.
Yeah. But and again, this is where it's a squad game, isn't it? So I know what Gunnar King says. He says we have no superstars in the team, and I agree with that. We've got no one in that team. For me, who says like he walks into any other team. But what we do have as a collective seems like we have a good collective bunch. Do you know what I mean? I'm again watching United, and you can see the weak links in there straight away. Like Tottenham yesterday, defensively, and even the midfield just didn't look great. Do you know what I mean? It was they scoring on counter attacks at home. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like that is they were not poor, but you can see there's a lot of work to be done with those guys. So as much as they have got a world-class manager, and you can see the difference he has made, it's not ever get twisted. Like it's not over. It's not all doom and gloom for Arsenal, I don't think. I think we've gone through that transitional period and we're kind of coming out of it.
What I found really, really insulting, right, is that like those clubs saying we've got a new manager now, everything that happened before, like this line, this Nuno and Oli tax line. Stop embarrassing yourselves. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you can't, you know, there's just writing off a period of the season, yeah, and where we've been saying this all along, yeah, like, yeah, you might be winning games here and there, but there's no real system. No one knows what you're trying to do, you know, like, whereas, yeah, we might not have the class and the pedigree and the manager and the players, but everyone's clear in their role. I can describe to you what we're trying to do. We're trying to build out, you know, and play possession-based football out from the back. You know, Tierney's looking to overload on the other side with an asymmetric back line where Tomiyasu sits and then tucks inside, creating overloads on the left-hand side, meaning that Martinelli or Smith Rowe, whoever's out on the left, can tuck in to almost become an auxiliary striker or an auxiliary number 10 player, depending on where they drift inside, yeah? And then you've got, obviously, you know, you've got Odegaard, who's very much kind of just that central kind of creative pivot in the middle, where everything's kind of going through him. He's like the guy that's the continuation player in midfield that's, you know, helping us control the possession in the final third and make telling passes into the box. And you've got Lacazette, who's either holding up the ball and letting the, you know, Saka or Martinelli or Smith Rowe, whoever's flanking him, kind of, you know, make runs almost to become, you know, those strikers behind, you know, almost operating as that kind of second striker come false nine player, you know, and then you can see what we're trying to do and you can see it working, you know, like we're not saying we're this, you know, we're the fourth best team in England, but whilst everything around us falters, we got a chance. And all these rivals that have been saying, yeah, like, look, it's over, you've got no chance just because of January, without taking into context who we played in January and who we missed in January, yeah, and have been saying, oh, when you come up against the big teams, you know, judging us on those games only, you know, and just saying, oh, well, you're beating these teams that you should be. What other teams are doing that? United, Southampton are a team that Tottenham should be beating. They didn't, yeah. Middlesbrough, a team that Man United should be beating, they didn't. But they're judging us on losing games or not, or just winning games that we should be, when they're not even doing that, and not winning big games. When, to be honest, they're not really doing that either. You know? Yeah. What big team have they beaten this season?
Yeah, as it's like, obviously,
they stick that on us. They stick that on us. That's the thing. What big teams? Tottenham are beating City. Do they look better off for it? What other big teams have they beaten this season?
Well, if you look at the teams that United have got to play, I think it's next month. I think they've got to play basically 5 or 6. I think basically top 6 sides back to back.
That's what they had before Oli got sacked, wasn't it? They had that run of
they got
big
Liverpool,
teams,
and they're in trouble.
Liverpool, then City, then Spurs. They've got Leicester in that run. They've got to play us away from home.
They're in trouble. But yeah, for me,
again, we've all got to play. Sorry, go on.
We've been saying as well, we've got this easy fixture list in the run up to that, and they're not even winning the games in this easy fixture list they said they had. Yeah, the sense of entitlement that these guys have, is
Spurs fans,
unreal, bro. Like, where do they get it from? And that applies to both the teams,
bro.
It applies to both Spurs and United.
Here's the thing. I'm looking at the league table right now, right? And you know, if we lose tonight, these Man United Spurs fans are going to try and banter us and everything. But what they fail to realise is if we do lose against Wolves will get 37 points, go above us and Spurs, and be only a couple of points behind Man United. Now there's 4 teams involved.
Yep. Yeah, because I think if we lose to Wolves tonight, God forbid we lose to Wolves, I think they go on 37 points, right?
Yep.
And Wolves got Spurs in the weekend as well. So
yeah, it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's not a foregone conclusion at all. So but one thing I will say, again, we've got games in hand at the moment, but it's not get carried away with it. And again, like the Kunle says, one game at a time, because I heard a lot of Spurs fans and United fans are talking about these games in hand, and they've actually now in a worse position after them games in hand. Now they're ahead of us in games, they're not further ahead in points. Like Spurs are joint, and United are 3 points ahead, but we've got 2 games in hand on them.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole talk over like January with games in hand, we got games in hand. When we play these games, we're going to be 6 points ahead of you, 5 points ahead of you. Like you actually know better off. So, Yeah, the Premier League is notorious. There's not an easy game. And you can see that in Conte yesterday.
Especially now.
He said it about 3 times in the interview. There's no easy games in the Premiership. There's no easy games. Like we need better players. He kept saying it, so it shows you this league isn't a foregone conclusion. When you got, do you know what I mean? You're gonna have now. You go to a Newcastle or even Norwich has started picking up some form. Leeds starting to score a few goals now, and do you know what I mean? These places aren't easy to go. Villa look like a team. Do you know what I mean? There's no easy games. So
Yeah.
you might look at your run and think, actually, I've got 4 of the bottom 6. They're fighting for their life right now. So actually, that's probably harder than playing a mid-table team who haven't got as much to play for. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's very much just keeping our heads down, just keep grinding. I think first things first, we've got to be on the pitch, working the socks off like 110% every game. That earn the right to play your football. I think that's where Arsenal have gone wrong in some seasons. Is we feel we turn up to some teams and we deserve to win the game because we're Arsenal and we have better players. Now you've got to earn the right to be on that pitch first, and then your quality should then hopefully take over. So
yeah,
yeah.
Because I'm not going to lie, at one point the table was looking sticky. I have to be honest. Like, you know, there was a time when Spurs did have all those games in hand, and I did think to myself, obviously, you know, you do look at it and you think, yeah, they're games in hands, they're not points on the board. At the same time, they had so many games in hand. I thought to myself, yeah, you know, obviously Conte coming in, etc. I said, you know, in a couple of games, the table's not going to look very pretty. But like you said, you know, level on points with Spurs. We're above them in goal difference, 3 points behind United, but we now have games in hand. But it's obviously, this is the therapy session, so I'm going to just kind of vent a little bit. Because I kind of kept quiet, like, with the transfer market, because I think most of you will know from my Twitter that I literally got sucked into the Vlahovic thing. Like, I was
with you.
And I was so excited. I was so gassed about it. And I'm not gonna lie, when he went to Juventus, that literally hit me like a ton of bricks. And I literally, after that, other than actually doing content on kind of chatter about transfers, I didn't even tweet nothing about transfers. That literally just took the wind out of me. But at the same time, throughout the whole window, I was thinking to myself, with a week to go, with 48 hours to go, with 24 hours to go, like, and even King was keeping my hope there. Even the glimmer of hope I had left, King was actually helping me think, you know what, we might pull something out the bag. And when we didn't, I've got to be completely honest, like, I've not really reacted on Twitter, but I still am gobsmacked. I still am pretty much gobsmacked that we didn't actually sign anybody, like literally not a single first team signing. Now, having said that, I do understand that as a club, we've made huge mistakes in the past where we've just bought for buy sake in January. And what's clearly, you know, if you look at the approach, you know, we clearly have changed direction in that we might not have liked the signings that we made in the summer, but those signings have made an impact on our first team. Whether we thought they would or not, they have. So even though I'm pissed, and even though I'm a bit surprised and gobsmacked that we haven't signed anybody, I'm willing to kind of just say, okay, cool. All right, you know, this is the way, this is the direction the club want to go in. We've not signed anyone. But for me, Arsenal need to make sure, and these players need to make sure, and Arteta needs to ensure that these men don't lose out on a top 4 or top 6 spot based on effort. If we lose out on that based on a lack of quality, even though a lot of Arsenal fans will say, well, it was their fault because they never signed anyone, I personally won't, because from what I'm hearing from Edu and Mikel Arteta and co is that, look, if the player, one, don't want to come, or if the player is not of a quality that's going to improve the first team, we're not going to make a signing. And I respect that, because we've made that mistake year on, year out. But I do not want to see us miss out on a top 4 spot or top 6 spot based on effort on the pitch. Because if that happens, then questions need to be asked of Arteta. If we lose games because of missed chances, or we lose games because of a lack of quality, I can probably take that on the chin and say, you know what? I know as an Arsenal fan, the squad's not good enough, but those players need to make sure they leave everything on the pitch, because if they don't, and there is a real lack of effort and a lack of work rate, then that's when I'm going to really start asking questions of not only Arteta, but also the squad. But yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one because obviously, like, you know, as an Arsenal fan, you know, I'm looking at the teams
Zuma.
around us, and we've said it. You know, United look a mess. Spurs are not as good as they think they are. Really, they're not. And it just kind of makes me think that, you know what, if we did make 1 or 2 signings, you know, I'd be feeling really confident now. And while I am feeling confident, I'm just not confident enough to back this current squad. Like, I know I take on board everything like you've said, Gamza, and you said, King, and Tony, about obviously like performances and consistency, and I can see what we're doing and how we're trying to do it, etc. But boy, I don't know. I think 17 games is a lot of games, and I really struggle to actually convincingly believe that we're going to put a run of results together to actually get top 4. But I am confident we're going to get top 6.
I think what you're saying there is right. And if everyone's firing how they should be, I wouldn't think we'd get top 4 of what we've got. But however, I think our good fortune may come in that the others aren't in a position that they think they're in. So it's not a case of we're the 4th best, we're probably the best of the rest.
Break it down then. Let's break it down, because I put down there the bottom our next 5 games. And points are acceptable from those 5 games.
How many points?
There's 15 points. So
listen, I look at, like, with the greatest respect to those teams, though every single one of those teams are a team we should be beating. You know, 100%. Like Leicester probably are the team that have got the best squad. But if you actually look at our record against them of late, it's been very good. You know, and I think playing them at home and our home record.
I look against Leicester, isn't
it? I think, playing them at home and our home record. You know, I think, you know, I fancy our chances in that game. Our away record hasn't been the greatest at all this season. Yeah, so I think Wolves away is actually the toughest game, even though Leicester have the better squad.
Yeah, 100. Yeah,
it's going I worry about both away games there, to be honest.
Yeah, it's going away, and they're a team that aren't conceding at home. So, look, I think if we can win at least 3 to 4 of these games, what we need to do is stay there or thereabouts until the end of the season, because when United's tricky run comes up, that's when I want to see us pick up points and open up a gap again, you know, between us and them. And then I think towards the business end of the season, West Ham and United are going to be playing in their games in Europe as well. They're going to be juggling more fixtures. They're both still in the FA Cup as well. So that's going to add further to what will already be a much busier fixture list. So all I'm saying is, if we can't get in the top 4 before then, if we can stay within 1 to 3 points maximum, right up until sort of April time, I think we've got a very good chance then. Because actually, if you look at the back end of our fixtures, our last couple of games, again, are winnable. You know, like our last sort of 5 to 10 games. Yeah, I think the difficult one is going to be our actual games in hand, because they're Liverpool, Chelsea, and Spurs. So I don't know if they've confirmed when those fixtures are going to be played yet. But obviously, those games are going to be a problem. Yeah. Those are our 3 problems.
They'll probably give us those 3 games within 7 days. You know what they're like, the Premier League.
If they do that, we are screwed.
Yeah, they probably will. They're going to shaft us.
But again, this way you put your points on the board early. So again, that's why it's important to win them games. Because again, start of the season, you look at the City, the Liverpool, the Chelsea, you probably say, right, even if you calculate, so we're not even going to take 9 from them. If we grab a point, that's a bonus. Grab 3 points, that's even more of a bonus. Do you know what I mean? But ideally, you go into that thinking we're not going to grab. Tottenham one is the one you're thinking we need to get 3 points out of that one. But you almost, if you could put the points on the board beforehand, before you even get to them games, then again, it's plain sailing. But remember, we did that before when we said, right, if we can beat whoever it was, we go into Liverpool, we don't even care about that, because actually we've done what we had to do prior to that. And I think the same as with Burnley. If we beat Burnley before the little winter break, you approach this Wolves game not different, but like you're saying, Wolves away is a hard game to go to. I think it said the home games, you win those 3. And just go back to your question, Tony, how many points? I think if you take 10 out of them 5, that's a pretty good return. Ideally 12 from the 15, and I'll be like very, very happy with that. Do you know what I mean?
I was gonna say
12. I'd be happy.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
12
I
I'd agree
think
with.
Look,
yeah.
no, Jake.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think anywhere between 7 and 10 points keep us in the running, for or in and around the mix. I know 7 is not a great return, but the teams around us are gonna drop points as well. Because even if you look at those fixtures are not a given for the likes of Tottenham or United right now.
No.
So I think 7 to 10 points keeps us there or thereabouts. Anything between 12 and 15, if we can do that, I think that puts us clear. Because Tottenham and Spurs are gonna drop points.
Yeah, you see
Every
it
other
this
team are
week.
gonna drop points.
You saw it this week. Do you know what I mean? The fact of that would have been a lot more pressure going into the Wolves game if Tottenham and United had got better results. But the fact they've dropped points there, we want to capitalise. But even if you come out of a draw, you've kind of stayed on course with United and you've got 1 point on Tottenham. So
I want to ask another honest question. Yeah, Chelsea, right? Looking at their performance last night, and I feel that their season has unhinged since Chilwell got injured.
Reece James, mate.
Listen, if they start dropping points,
I don't think you should look into the FIFA Club World Cup, though, to be honest.
Yeah, but that third place, is it secure? Are they getting dragged into the fourth place?
They're just, I think points wise, they're quite a way away of us. Like,
but the thing is, and again, I'm not saying we're going to win all of our 3 games, but I'm just adding some perspective here. We win the 3 games in hand. We're 2 points behind them. And one of the games in hand is against them.
Oh, is that how close it is?
That's how close it is. Close. That's what I'm trying to say, innit?
Oh, wow. I thought they were further away than that.
No. It's very, very close.
Lukaku's not firing on all cylinders. The imbalance that is being created.
What you're doing to me, man, it's supposed to be therapy.
No, listen.
King's right.
If you don't remember, it started pre-season.
We're 2 points behind them.
Look, they got a Carabao Cup final. They got the World Club Cup. So they by the end of the season, they would have played more matches than any of the teams that we've described. If they go into a deep cup run in the Champions League, they got Champions League games, they got FA Cup games, and they got league games. So they're going to be juggling more plates than anyone. Do
you guys remember? I don't know if who was on the stream.
It's not beyond the realms of possibility. It's unlikely, to be clear. I do think it's unlikely, but you never know. Because they've still got tough games as well. To play.
If I don't know if you, Tony, I'm gonna have to search for it. But before pre-season, I said we're gonna nick third, and I don't know if you remember. I said this was before pre-season because when I heard we was selling Xhaka and Bellerin, I was gassed. So I was like, we're gonna get third place. If we turn around and get that, I'm definitely gonna find that clip and re-show it because I don't know. But again, I think not having Champions League football, European football, definitely has helped us. And I think we've seen the impact when there is a lot of games in a short space of time, the impact that's had on us. And like I was saying, a lot of these teams have got to go through that. Now, I don't think United are going to be in the Champions League for much longer. So
I'm going to pay you out myself.
If we get third place, mate.
Atletico are playing equally poor. So
yeah, they're
struggling. I don't know, man. They're having a poor season. So it's going to be a bit of a race to a bottom between Man United and Atletico. I think they've got the quality to beat Atletico. Atletico don't like playing English sides. Just the way the intensity and the speed are built for it. So I think I actually want United to go further in the Champions League. I think that actually, as crazy as it sounds,
it helps. Yeah, no, definitely.
The only thing with that though, sometimes that could breed some confidence. Sometimes where, do you know what I mean? Again, because I know what you're saying about fixture congestion. It does obviously take its toll, but also if you're winning games, that does a lot more sometimes for you than actually congestion because confidence is everything in football. Yeah, like if you could go away to Atletico and beat them, all of a sudden now your next game looks a lot more tasty for you than if you go and, do you know what I mean? Come off the back of a draw against Burnley, like it's mindset is completely different. But I think we just got to focus on ourselves, haven't we, and just make sure Arsenal keep putting points on the board. And again, keep the performances now decent because I don't like when we win and play ugly sometimes. Sometimes you've got to do it. There's some games you come out, you think, Jesus Christ, take the 3 points and get out of here. But equally, I think we need to.
I know you just said don't talk about the other teams, but I've just had a look at Spurs' next 5. Actually, 6, because the 6th game's interesting. So they've got Wolves away next. Wolves at home, City away, Burnley away, Leeds away, Everton at home, and then the 6 games against Man United away.
Oof. That's tasty, man.
The Everton and Leeds, I
We
expect them to
need
go
to
and
take
win that
advantage of these
comfortably.
next 5 games.
Realistically,
Those
Spurs
next
could
5
lose all
games.
them games, man.
Yeah, or but the thing is, they could also
could.
go and win all them games. Like,
Yeah, exactly. True.
the Spurs,
True.
in it, but they'll probably win the ones they shouldn't, and the things like Leeds and Everton's probably where they come unstuck, like where
Yeah,
you think they
exactly,
should go and
yeah.
get 3 points there. But again, Everton are in that dogfight as well now. Like they're only 2
Boy.
points clear of the drop,
Yeah.
something
Fighting for
crazy
their
like that.
I mean, you look at
They're a
Leeds are
wounded
in the
Man
same
animal.
mode.
United as well. I mean, they got Southampton at home, Alex, but you know Southampton have been travelling well, haven't they? Brighton at home after that. Brighton always play to the end. I don't know if you noticed that this season. They're a tough side at home. Or Leeds away, you know that's a bit of a rivalry, that one. Watford at home, they want to avenge that 4-1 defeat, so they'll probably get a victory there. Then after that, they got Man City away, then Spurs at home.
That's a big one.
So these
Yeah,
next 5 games, we really need to capitalise on that.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Come on, boys.
West, we might as well talk about West Ham because they're well in it. And I mean, the thing about West Ham, they look the strongest. You talk about the team. They got Leicester away next. I can see them getting a result there. Newcastle at home, Wolves at home, Liverpool away, Aston Villa at home.
There's no easy games, you know.
There's no easy games. Even when you call,
in there for them.
but even that, like when you call these fixtures, I'm looking and thinking, even when you call Arsenal's, it looks on paper like you should be winning. But I'm saying any of them teams, apart from I say Watford, like Leicester is not easy. We got Wolves
Even
twice,
Watford.
2 difficult games. Like Brentford turn up sometimes. Like as I said, the Premiership, there's no easy games in the moment. I think the only team I go into thinking if we play well, we beat is Leeds, just because Leeds play expansive football. So they give up a lot of chances. That's the only one. I think if you get it right against Leeds, you should score some goals. But apart from that, like you saw what Newcastle done to Everton midweek. It's like there's no easy games at all, is there? Like as much as West Ham should be winning them games, like again on another day, again you got teams now fighting for their lives. Like it's not going to be this end of the season should be interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of drop points all over the board. I reckon
It's gonna be some running, I tell you.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
It'll be a roller coaster.
But it's like I said, if Wolves do beat us and then they go Spurs, they're well in the mix. In the mix.
Yeah, everyone's right. No one's talking about Wolves, you know.
And then they've got West Ham. So Wolves could easily be added this stage.
Yeah.
So it's as Canada says right here, it all starts tonight.
Trust. Boy.
So in terms of points, I would say for top 6, which is the objective for me this season, 10's a must. 10's a must. If we want top 4, 12, 13, something like that.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. How many do you reckon we will get?
But like you said, how many do I think we'll get?
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends which Arsenal I'm going to think about. I think we can get 10 for sure. 10 at least.
Would you say that's the 3 home games with wins,
anyway.
draw away and lose away? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I honestly think Watford. I think we'll end up losing against Watford. I think we'll draw tonight. We'll lose at Watford, and we'll have home games.
Wow.
Because Watford, Watford are in a fight, you know. So
for real. What are you saying, King?
You got.
How many points do you reckon? How many points do you reckon we end up with after this run?
So what? Those 5 games. Put up the fixtures again. Is that all right, Tony?
Yeah, okay.
Just so I can have a look at them again. Oh wait, no, I've got the comment here. So next game, Wolves away. Yeah, if we can walk away with a minimum of a point from this game, I believe we can win the other games. Listen, I've got belief in this team, man, and I think we can win the other games. 3, 6, 9, 12, 13 points. That's what I'm projecting as a minimum. for these games. Sounds
I like
crazy, but look,
I love
Oh,
your
man.
confidence. I love your confidence.
listen, man. Like, you know, I just think, you know, like don't be fooled by January. Yeah, when players were at AFCON, players were ill and injured. Yeah, our home record has been very good this season. I think it still remains one of the best home records in the league. And I don't think those teams have got the quality in them to beat us at the Emirates Stadium at the moment. The Wolves game is the game I'm worried about the most. And listen, if we win this game tonight, I think we're in such a good position to go and just win all those other games. And then it gets really tasty, really interesting.
Just a quick one. Just a quick one. I'm going to ask you, G.
Mm.
Do you feel the decision not to bring players may motivate the players? So if I'm Arteta, I'm going in there saying, look, we could have brought in some players, but I believe in you lot. Like, go prove me right. Do you reckon that might give them added incentive? Because, you know what I mean? I'm not sure what level you guys have played at, but if your manager's bringing in players who ain't of the standard, that would probably bring me down a notch or two to think, like, does he really not rate me that he's bringing my guy in, like, to challenge me? Like, that, again, it could push you to feel I'm showing him how good I am, but equally a vote of confidence to say, yeah, there's players out there we can get back. Actually, this is the squad we believe in. Like, when all the fans are losing their heads thinking you lot ain't good enough, I know you're good enough. Go and show them what you can do. Do you reckon that would add that little, maybe an extra 10, 15% to some of these guys' performances? Again, it could be a thing of, look, this is a great club. You're here. Go and prove yourself. Or in the summer, we may have to look elsewhere because I'm giving you this fair crack of the whip now. I've got rid of a lot of the distractions. Do you know what I mean? I'm believing in you lot. Do you think that could have a positive effect on this team?
You know what? You know what it is? For me, I definitely think, you know, that could be, you know, the angle that Arteta's coming from. And you know what? There's a lot more to running a club and managing a squad of players than, you know, Football Manager mobile than just buying all the best players in the world or trying to just buy all the best talent. It's a lot deeper than that. Like, I've never coached or managed, but I've played football. You know, I played football, Saturday league, Sunday league. And, you know, even when you kind of translate what happens within a squad in a kind of professional setting, when you're managing people, managing a team of people, it's a lot more complex than just saying, okay, I'm going to recruit the best recruiter. I'm going to recruit the best professional to come in, because it's a lot to do with, you know, team morale, a lot to do with motivating, you know, your colleagues or those that, you know, line manage. So I definitely feel like, you know, it's a really good question, because I think for a lot of those players, you know, they are 100% aware of, you know, sections of the fan base and what the opinions are of them as Arsenal players. They will be very much aware of that. And I think that's probably what has been behind the trip to Dubai. I think, you know, Arteta's taken the lads out to Dubai and said, look, this is the squad. We're together. And this is what we've got. I mean, this is what we're going to go with. And I believe in you. And, you know, I have full confidence. So that's definitely what Arteta is saying to the squad. Whether or not he believes it 100% himself, that's not even important.
Yeah,
what is important that the players believe it. If the players believe that that's what he believes, that's the most important thing. So I do think, you know, in terms of running a club and managing a group of players or a group of employees at any level, any capacity, that's massively important. You have to be able to motivate, you know, the group of players that you've got. And I just hope that is the case. That's what the narrative is. And that is what gives the players, you know, that extra 10, 15% to put in the performances for him. So yeah, I definitely think, you know, that could be what's kind of behind it. My only thing is that sometimes as a manager or a line manager of people, is that, you know, you can motivate, you can encourage, you can do all the right things, but it is up to the individual.
Yeah.
So
and if they're not good enough,
you know, Arteta could say, look, Lacazette, look, Eddie, you know, I've not gone out there and got a centre forward. I believe you can fire us to top four. I believe in your ability. I believe in your potential, etc., etc. But at the same time, you know, Eddie can leave training and be completely distracted because he's already lined up his move in the summer.
Yeah.
And
even
he
that,
might not even be fully committed or focused himself.
yeah.
So,
and even if the focus is there, the quality might not be there. So you could give someone all the training in the world, but when they get on the phone to talk to a customer, they might not have that confidence to actually portray it. So you can only work with what you've got, but hopefully he could definitely boost the morale in it. So sorry to cut you.
Fingers crossed, man, because boy,
the thing
big
is,
game.
For me, I think it could work two ways though, because I think it puts a mass amount of pressure on the players that are there.
True.
Because they go into games knowing that this is going to be a heavily scrutinized decision until the end of the season. That was my concern. They're going into these games knowing the minute they lose, they're going to hear people saying that, look, the squad isn't good enough. You know, the squad needed improving. And that can play on their mindset, you know, that can definitely deflate their morale. That's why I felt even if it was a loan, that would have taken that pressure off them going into games. Like, they're the ones that have to show more than anyone that this decision was vindicated. Because look, the man, and this is the sad thing, the manager, Edu, the Kroenkes, they've made the decision, but the players are the ones that go on the pitch and actually show whether that decision made sense or not. So they're going into every game with that level of burden and expectation on their shoulders, and they're young players. You know, we got rid of Obi now. We got rid of Obi now, so
there's a flip side to it for real. There is.
If you look at the players that are in the team, it's Lacazette and Partey and Xhaka. The only 3 players possibly, that are going to be actually in our first 11 that are over the age of 24 if there aren't injuries. So you're putting that level of burden and expectation on the shoulders of kids.
But the thing is, you say, like, not trying to bring up others.
I'm not, obviously this is a therapy session, so we're here for it to not all be plain sailing, but that is a reality that I don't think we can escape as Arsenal fans. That these kids, they're going to be making mistakes anyway because they're young players.
The only thing is, the kids are the ones that have the kids have carried us for 2 years.
Every time they make that mistake, that's going to be put on their shoulders. Yeah, and I don't think that's very fair.
But you know what?
The thing is, the kids are the ones to me who haven't let us down in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah,
like, don't get me wrong, Smith Rowe and that might have had the odd quiet game, and no one's saying people can't have a bad game, but majority of the mistakes and the big issues have come from the bigger players. Like Partey's had some bad ones.
The suspension.
The only 2 times I would say youngsters have actually done something really bad. I think Sambi and Tavares against Liverpool was the one game I'm saying, them 2 there struggled a bit. Do you know what I mean? But apart from that, I'm relatively comfortable with those guys. And again, you're going to learn more from them playing. You could put experienced players in front of them guys sitting on the bench, not making mistakes because they're not on the pitch, but they haven't learned anything 2 years down the line. So actually throwing them to the wall sometimes, it's going to speed. And again, this is where our expectations and Arteta's expectations may be completely different. So the board might be saying to him, with this young squad, get me top 6 because they're going to be a year further in the development next year and a year further. And from that year, now we want top 4 for the next 5 years. But them young players now have had the experience for 2 years to now be able to continue that going forward. Whereas if we bring in experienced players, we may get top 4 this year. Then we may get top 4 the next year. Now, them experienced players are gone. Now we're relying on Smith Rowe, Saka, Lokonga, and all those guys, Tavares. They ain't played enough football in the last 2 years. Now we're back in 6th again. Now we're dropping out. Do you know what I mean? Or now Saka, them players not saying, actually, I want to leave because I'm not playing the amount of minutes. Like, we sit there worried about Saliba, thinking, is he going to come back and play because Arteta ain't playing for 2 years? Imagine if Martinelli had another year sitting on the bench all season. Would he want to commit his future to the club? So I get what you're saying. There's a lot of pressure on them, but actually these young players have actually shown me they can actually handle certain amount of this pressure better than our experienced players have handled that pressure in the past. So I'm all for it. Like, I feel, give them a run. Again, I think the fans have got to be patient. Like, yes, we all want top 4. We're desperate. I'm desperate for some Champions League music again, man. Like, I ain't heard it in so long, bro. Like, the Champions League's lost its prestige to me because I'm not even interested in watching it right now. But I like the fact we're believing in these youngsters. Like, because again, long term, I think it does a lot more good than harm. Like, Tavares and Sambi would have learned from that Liverpool game, no question about it. Like, they definitely would have learned from it. So, and just on that note as well, about new players also need time to bed in. So actually, it could be counterproductive. I look at the Spurs game yesterday, and no one ain't called it, But that second goal was Kulevski's fault. And that's because he ain't tracked the runner. The left back's just gone past him, arrived in the box and headed home into it, almost not empty net, but do you know what I mean? He's not going to miss from there. And that's from Kulevski. So this new player who's coming, he's coming for an attacking reason. And I'm not saying he's not a good player, but not being Prem ready and getting thrown in, he's only come on the pitch for half an hour and the goal's gone in. And now it's 2-2, and then obviously they scored the third. So we could be bringing in experienced players who might not have the switch on factor like Arteta needs, because we've seen our wingers have to defend. And all of a sudden now it might actually cost you more defensively than actually playing someone who's had that experience with us. So
don't you guys like, because like I hear obviously what you're saying, Gabs, a lot. I do think that these young players have definitely carried us. They've definitely showed us that kind of every given turn that, you know, they can handle the pressure. At the same time, I agree with Gunnar King in that it is a lot of pressure. And there is going to be a lot of scrutiny between now and the end of the season over these 17 games. At the same time, I just want to kind of get your perspective, because if for whatever reason, God forbid, we flunk the next 17 games and we don't make top 4 or top 6, for me personally, my scrutiny is going to be for Arteta and Edu and the board in terms of what they didn't do in January. Me personally, I'm not going to criticize this squad that much between now and okay, because I just wanted to get your.
No. I said from the window, Arteta's gonna have to live and die by his decisions
100%
of not recruiting in January. Now, whether it's right or wrong, he's got to push. If he needs players, he's got to push for that. The fact he hasn't and he's accepted what we're going to do in January.
Okay, cool.
If it goes wrong, he has to take full responsibility. Like I've always kind of echoed, this team will be better in 2 years' time. We're going to see the benefits of what we did in the summer, and we're going to see the benefits of him trusting these young players, because with 2 more years' experience, if this core of team stays together, with 2 more years' experience, they're going to be a very good squad. Now, don't get me wrong, I know other teams are going to strengthen and keep buying in better players and whatever else. But if this can gel in 2 years, this could be, do you know what I mean, something quite special. You could add a couple of bits to it, a few other elements to this. Could be something quite special. So, yeah, Arteta might be the one who has to fall on the sword for not buying in January. But what this could do for these players could be unheard of. So again, I'm not sure you know my level of coaching, G, but like I coach for a semi-pro club in the under-16s, and I've got under-15s playing for me. So my philosophy is all about player development. I'm not really interested in the winning side of things. So I've got half my team of the year below playing up. And we play some big boys. We played against boys with full beards connecting better than mine, and the rest of it, like beards like Gunnar King. And so even my son's tiny. So we go into games, we play good football. Physically, we might get beat sometimes, but I have to lessen the expectations on the players. So I take a lot of the hits. Some of the parents are like, oh, we can't believe we lost that game. But it's about me managing the expectations of some of these players and our philosophy. So I'm pretty sure Arteta, they probably will lose games. And I'm pretty sure Arteta's approach to when they lose their games would be different than if he had a team of 28, 29, 30-year-olds. Because again, you have to manage that and, do you know what I mean? And take the positives out of it sometimes. So like, I think this is that's where the manager earns his money, isn't it? Like, it's when it's gone wrong in a game. There's going to be games where it goes wrong, but it's how do you then get the bounce back from that, and how do you learn from it? So this is why I think for fans it's important. Yes, it's frustrating if we lose a game. Like I think for me, the Everton game was so frustrating. Like everyone was slapping that team up, and then they come up with
I'm going to say this, right? After a decade, of feeling complete apathy, towards the ownership, towards management, towards the board, and everyone running the club. Yeah, like Arteta did an interview the other day, and what they spoke about was a connection with the fans. Yeah, between the club and the fans being rebuilt, and the importance of that. I just think we can't sugarcoat or dance around the fact, that it's like they've taken one step forwards towards rebuilding that. The strengthening in January would have really continued to foster, and I think the fans are the 12th man in this game, like why is Anfield one of the most daunting places to go in English football, because the Kop end, like, you know, they carry Liverpool sometimes, they've got the affinity with the club. Yeah, when I went to Liverpool with my ex-girlfriend, you know, on the weekend of the European final, when England lost, you know, the first time I'd ever been to Liverpool. You know, one of her friends unfortunately passed away. God rest her soul. Yeah, went there obviously for a wake, met all the families, and listen, you walk in the house, the first thing you see in all of the houses, yeah, is a shelf with all Liverpool memorabilia, and it was every house I walked into, yeah, every single one, you know, like they're all there, you know, they're wearing their shirts, you know, they're singing their songs, you know, like there's a few Everton fans as well, but it's the same for them, like, but like I feel that is the most broken thing at this club, yeah, is especially the younger generation of Arsenal fans that haven't bathed in the success that we grew up watching. You know, that they get frustrated, that they get told, oh, you didn't even see the Invincibles. Why are you talking about them? Why are you bigging them up? You know, it's been 20 years since you won a league title. You haven't even been alive to see a league title, you know. I just felt that strengthening in January, because that relationship from the summer and the hope and the expectation that the young players that they brought in have given us up until this point, I felt it was more important to maintain that momentum and keep that going.
Yeah, no, I hear that, but necessarily bringing players in doesn't actually do that.
What you're seeing now, yeah, what you're seeing now is a regress. After the January window closed, you're seeing fans' heads drop again.
But that's on the fans. That's not on the board.
Oh, this is Arsenal just doing Arsenal things again, and you are seeing questions being raised again, yeah, because this is what we have done before, yeah. In the 2015 and 16 season, all we needed to do is get a striker. Yeah, we came second that season. Yeah, and the reality is Giroud went on a 14-game drought of not scoring. Ozil did his job, still got 19 assists. Yeah, that's how close we were to winning the season. That was the fine margin. Yeah, and what I'm trying to say is,
was that the year Leicester won it?
Yeah.
Not ignore the fact that this, whether or not we want
that was a misprem, man,
circumstance or not, is a similar instance where all we maybe needed to do was get a striker and or a midfielder, yeah, given the faltering nature of all the teams around us, and who knows. But if we end up fifth by a point, at the end of the season,
it's gonna be
instead of looking at that as a result, because I would have taken that at the beginning of the season. I would have taken fifth, yeah, being a point behind, because last season we were 8th and 6 points behind. But that's still going to be looked at with an element of what has been lost instead of what's been gained. You know, like
this is where it's reactions, and I 100% get it. And I've said this myself. If we miss out by a point or two, we're going to look back at the board and say, "You made a mistake." Now, equally, imagine if. Hold on. Let me finish them. So imagine if Spurs lose but miss out by a point. And we look back at Kulusevski not tracking back his runner, who's a new signing, and them scoring. So even if they scored the third, because that wasn't Kulusevski's fault, but you take away the second, and they miss out by a point, they can look back at the new signing has cost them a point, regardless of what else he does for the season. He's cost them a point, and in their top 4 run, which could end up impacting. So again, it's very easy to look at one side, because we could all focus on. We can look at that. I said we all blame El Nene, and I can't remember who it was when we rested players against Crystal Palace. And we missed out on the top 4 in that game. It's a 38-game season. And equally, there was still another 2 or 3 games after that, which we lost when we played our top 11. So we're always going to go back to, we didn't play our first 11 against Palace. We played El Nene and rested players. Actually, what about the 2 games after that? Because if we had won one of them, we still would have got top 4. And we had Brighton in that run and someone else, which we should be beating. So we're always going to look at to suit our agenda as such of, this is my agenda. We didn't sign players. So anytime anything goes wrong, I'm going to come back to that point. Whereas I'd rather
look back, and we tried to address.
100%. I understand what you're saying, but what
we didn't. If that player came in and he cost us points, look, at least they tried to upscale the quality of the squad.
Yeah, but again, I do think there's an element.
I'd rather feel that way than having not tried.
Yeah, but long term does that cause more damage? And don't get me wrong, let's take loans out of it. I get loans are a bit different. But if the targets we're going for, they're saying we're only taking
we didn't try.
We're buying. Yeah, and again, teams are going to play hard, but it's January. No one's going to want to give up their best players. So now we could bring in players of a
and all we can do
quality.
is we got Premier League. So who's going to come?
And again, but for me, it's
Not even
that
Cup,
level of quality
not
you're bringing
Europe.
in. There's probably players out there who will make us slightly better. Let's not be twisted. Like, I'm not saying our team's complete. There's players out there who can make us better. But in the summer, there might be players that can make us 5 times better, who we're able to go for. And actually, by taking a player who's okay now, it might hinder us in the summer. And that's my only reason why I'm going to be a bit more patient with it, is because I want to see what they're going to do in the summer. Like, if we can really bring some big targets in the summer, it may justify us not getting them in January, which means it might affect us not getting top 4 this season. But long term, it might have actually a better impact on us rather than. And again, I'm not too sure what Arteta's budget is for the next year, next 2 years, next 3 years. But if we just say we even put 60 million down on 2 players who make us a little bit better, but it takes off 60 million from the summer of getting our major targets, then actually, I think we've got enough with what we got this year to secure that top 4. And what you're saying about, again, I hear you when you're saying you go Liverpool and their love for the club and whatever else. They've gone through this period. I had Liverpool fans losing their heads for years with Klopp, and then all of a sudden it clicked. Do you know what I mean? So what we need to do is almost not try to take some of that emotion out, but yes, this board has failed us for a long time. But regardless of what the signings are now, every game the fans need to be there giving 120 regardless. And that's what you get from Liverpool. You think Liverpool only now have actually improved their squad. Like Liverpool was playing with, but Liverpool was hold on. Let me finish. Liverpool were playing with people like Origi, Minamino, and Shaqiri as backup. Like, that's not a great squad. Do you know what I mean? That's not a great squad. Like, and that was Liverpool's undoing was always their squad was always the undoing. You got to give these things patience. Now, if you look at Liverpool's attack behind the strikers, Elliott's in there now. He looks like he's a player. That Diaz now, Diego Jota. So look at that 3 compared to Shaqiri, Origi, Minamino. It's light and day difference. And sometimes it just takes a bit of time. Like, and again, it's taking Liverpool. How long's Klopp been there for?
That's one point, and you can carry on, right?
Go on.
To flip the Liverpool one on its head, probably the most definitive transfer that they have made in the last decade happened when? In January, a week before the window opened.
Yeah,
Van Dijk.
What happened? No, because there's a counter argument. Let me counter argue them. What happened? What happened the season before that? What happened the season before that?
Let me finish.
Go on.
The most definitive signing that they made, not only happened in January, it happened a week before the window opened. What that did, in terms of the resolve of the fan base in that season, was that really galvanized what they were doing until the end of the season. And the thing is, what you're saying about, the players that were going to improve us, were only going to be available at the end of the season. They probably would have paid 15 to 20 million less for him if they had waited until the end of the season. His contract would have been run down more, and in terms of the availability of him, it would have been easier. They paid the premium. They paid the cost. They took the cost. That's what I'm saying. The ambition was there, to be like, do you know what? In the longer term, that 15 million, the extra that they paid for buying him in January, that looks a steal now. No one's 100%. Thinking about that now. No one's caring about that now. No,
so but you have to put it in context. What did they do? In context, where did they get the money from? Just let me finish then. You spoke. Let me finish then. Where did they get the money from? Coutinho got sold this summer. 100 and something millions in their bank.
We have money.
It's not the point. But at the end of the day, no, because here's the difference.
We have money.
I'm not saying we don't. We have our budgets. We have our plans. If now all of a sudden we get 150 million windfall because we sell Martinelli, that changes everything. That can change everything. So this is our plan. This is our structure. Every year we're going to spend 100 million, say, just to keep it easy numbers. All of a sudden we now get given 150. You think that ain't changing where I'm shopping? That changes everything. So yes, I hear what you're saying. They went and got it in January. I hear what you're saying.
It happened a long time before they bought.
No, it didn't. It continued to happen, and then they went and got Alisson, and they got Van Dijk.
It happened it didn't happen in the immediate window before. It happened. I'm pretty sure it did
because they struggled because defensively they struggled. They then got Alisson, and or did they get Alisson after Van Dijk? They got Alisson after Van Dijk. They got Van. So they sold Coutinho, then they got Van Dijk, then they got Alisson, and all of a sudden now it just changed. It changed everything.
Like in January, and they got Alisson summer, didn't they?
And then, but again, even that, we signed Aubameyang in January, and yes, he was an improvement. It didn't change our fortunes. We still ain't made top 4.
So Coutinho left in the January window of 2018. Yeah. When did Virgil van Dijk join Liverpool?
That's a long Google search.
Listen, the thing at the end of the day, the way I see it, right? The way I see it is, we don't know what's going on. We don't know how long these conversations with Lahovic went. We don't know if we had conversations with Bruno Guimaraes. We don't know how long these conversations with Melo went. So, were probably our 3 main targets. We lost out on all 3 of them. It's January. It's hard. We only got 1 competition we're playing for, and that's just for a spot in Europe. But who's actually going to come to us? I think what we've done, though, getting some of these players out on loan, is actually doing us the rather good in the long term. And we have got a big enough squad to compete in just 1 competition. The way I see it, anyway.
We've seen Leicester win the league using about 15 players. Like, they had Nathan Dyer, who was on loan from a championship team. Do you know what I mean? It's not all doom and gloom. If you can get them performing, like West Ham on paper aren't better than Tottenham, Arsenal, Leicester, but they're performing. Like, again, we just got to sometimes. I get the frustration. Don't get me twisted. I fully get it.
I'm just saying we shouldn't defend them too much, bro. And I'm
not defending anyone. As I said, I'm not defending anyone. All I'm saying is, end of the season. No, what I'm saying is, end of the season. If we don't get top 6, Arteta has to go. If we get between 6th and 5th, Arteta's okay. If he gets top 4, he can get a new contract. That's where I'm at. So I'm fully on.
Arteta, because what I'm saying is, how can you say Arteta has to go when he was in this position in January and the board, Edu and Kroenke, have done nothing to strengthen this is where I feel it's fair on judging Arteta.
No, but this is where I feel Arteta has some input. Now his role has changed. His role is different. Oh no, sorry, Tony. His role is different to Emery. Emery was a coach. Emery was coming. You get these players, you work with them. Arteta's been brought in as a manager, so he came in as a coach and they changed him to manager. He has a lot of say on players. His interview was telling, where he said we weren't going to do something for the sake of doing it. It had to make the first 11 better. So how do we know Edu and said, right, these are... So, hold on, let me finish. So these are our first 3 targets. Hold on, let me finish then. This is our first 2 targets. Gamirez and Vlahovic. So all of a sudden, Vlahovic doesn't happen. Gamirez is available, but it's 40 million, going to raise to 55, 60 with all the add-ons, whatever it is. Do you want to do it? Nah, don't pull the trigger on that, because he's not worth more than 30 for me. What's my second backup? This. Actually, I don't want them transfers. Do not go and pull the trigger. How do we know Arteta's not the one who said, don't go for them targets because this is better long term? We don't know that. So it's all quick and easy to blame Edu. Edu might give Arteta 15 players, and Arteta might turn around and say, I don't want none of them. I'd rather work with what I got. How do we don't know. We don't actually know. It's very easy to criticize the other guys. We don't know if Kroenke's not called Arteta to say, yo, I've given you that money. Why haven't you brought somebody? We don't know what them conversations were. Do you know what I mean? So for me, Arteta has a say in certain things. If he doesn't, and again, if Arteta could have pushed more for players and he didn't, then he's still going to have to take the flak, because we've seen Wenger take the flak for the board for years. And actually, what Wenger should have done is open up his mouth and said, the board aren't giving me what I need. And that's why we're struggling right now. But Wenger was very good at saying, we're looking, if it's not right for us, we're not going to do it. And he took a lot of the bullets, but in the day, he ended up falling on his sword.
Line, bro. So that's why it's difficult to not think it's history repeating itself. Because now with hindsight, when Wenger's left, he was saying his hands were tied behind his back.
Yeah, 100%.
What was he saying? Oh, we are looking this player that we looked at. We didn't feel that they would sufficiently improve the quality of the squad. He was coming up with all the same, strap lines.
Financially, we're in a different position than we were all them years ago. Like, as you brought up the other day, we've paid off all the debts. The only debts we have outstanding is things like Pepe, where we're paying however much million a year, and if we've got any other deals like that with other players. So that, compared to however many billions or whatever was or how hundreds of millions we had to pay the stadium off, is a massive difference. So I do feel we're in a better position. I do feel Arteta is stubborn also. I feel he's very stubborn. So if something don't sit right with him, he ain't gonna do it. Like, he just looks like he's got that in him. So again, there's a bit of blame probably needs to be everywhere, but at the same time, I feel Arteta believes in what he's got, and again, he's going to end up falling on that at the end of the season, or is going to end up giving him a new contract. It's one of the two. Do you know what I mean? And we're not privy to what their conversations are. So again, when we was calling for Arteta at some stage last year, the board was saying, no, we're going to stick by him. Was it last year, October, when we didn't win a game in ages and we found ourselves in the bottom and then we hit a run since Christmas? So again, this is why I'm a bit more patient. But as I said, I'm not 100% backing it, because if it goes wrong, then he has to take responsibility. He fully has to take responsibility.
If it goes wrong, it's all on them, man.
Yeah, it's all on them. Do you know what I mean? But as I said, in hindsight, we could
Not
go
just
into today's
Arteta,
game and have an
every
absolute
rest,
blinder.
all of them.
And then in the longer term, like, this is what I'm trying to say, all of the connection, that was built up from the January, that goes back to ground zero. That's what I'm trying to say. All the faith that was restored, in what they were doing.
But that's done on individuals.
Wait. All of the connection that the fans have built back towards the club, the trust that they put back in the club, whether or not you want to admit it, whatever way you want to spin it, if we end up losing out as a result of this decision, the Twitter sphere goes probably worse than it 100%. Was at the beginning of the season, and that's the point. That's the real thing that needs to be built again.
Don't even worry about Twitter.
Right? It's not just the squad that needs to be built; it's the confidence bred into the squad by the
but
fans.
Then, like I said, let's have these conversations at the end of the season, because what we do, and I've done it, we all do it, is we get frustrated by something. Like I got frustrated when Ramirez left. Like that frustrated the life out of me, and we didn't get him because it's like, well, he's one of our targets. He's now available. Why have we not gone for it? But in hindsight, let's just wait till the end of the season, and then we can have that convo, because we could get into do you know what I mean? Our knickers in a twist and whatever else. And if we go on this mad run and go and actually get top 4, what was we moaning about? Do you know what I mean? It's almost like, let's give things a bit of time, and that's my perception on it. Because
just
and I do hear what you're saying.
Just take right. Just take the risk. Yeah, we'll see what happens. It'll play out either way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've let off a bit of steam here. We've had that all important therapy, midweek therapy
position by taking risks.
And hey, listen. Look, it all, as Callum's mentioned earlier, it all starts tonight. So there might be more therapy tonight after the game, during the game, after the game. Obviously, you've got the watch along tonight with Gumzo and King at 7:30. Streaming across YouTube.
Don't get twisted. I might flip flop by today. By the end of today, I might be sitting with Gunner King. Get him out. He ain't done this. Don't get it twisted. I'll be there with it if we get beat today. Yeah. But
that's what it's about, though. That's what it's about.
It's the very first game after they've made this decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But to be fair, we was in the same boat after the transfer window in the summer.
Before we do go, Canna's brought it to my attention. Let me just find it quickly. We have a little mini comp going on at the moment. Enter a prize draw to win yourself a ticket, a Platinum Club level ticket with a free drink and match program. Just subscribe. That's all you need to do, and we'll announce the winner probably about a week before we play Brentford, which isn't long at all, really, is it? Thinking about
nice one, man.
So cool. Make sure you subscribe and for a chance to do that. And we're going to leave it there, gents. It's been great. I'm
going to create about 20 different profiles and keep subscribing.
Yeah, keep the likes, the follows, the subscribing up, and guess what? Once off this outro, we're outing. Cheers, gents. It's been a pleasure.